Welcome back to another episode of ROC Boys Football. We come here with breaking news. Jim Harbaugh tells President Lord Manuel that he is staying at the University of Michigan despite interviewing with the Minnesota Vikings, and wide speculation that he'll leave for an NFL job. Dill, I'm going to kick it off to you. You're clearly feeling pretty good about it. How are you feeling about it, and what are your thoughts on Jimmy?
I knew it the whole time. I knew he was just trying to hold that school to the fire and tell them no more regulations on NIL, no more regulations on transfer portals and academic credit. And he did it. He took them right to the wire, and I love it. I love that he did it. He's like, we're not going to be hampered by these stupid rules that have nothing to do, like no one else is following them. So why should we? And he did what said he was going to do. I think we heard a report of like JJ McCarthy's dad saying, or uncle or something like that, saying he was doing this. And he did it, and he executed it to perfection. All the NFL teams wanted him. Obviously, he's the best coach in America. So shout out Jim Harbaugh. He's a legend. He is all time in my book.
My brother I promise you, has been saying this since day one. As like in the beginning, I was like, oh, this off-season speculation, it always happens. And then as it got closer, I'm like, yo, duh, I think it actually might be gone. And then last night, I was furious when I got the reports that he's going to go on National Signing Day when these 18-year-old kids are signing papers to commit to him for 4 years, and he's taking a flight to go interview for another coaching job. I was so mad. I was like, if he leaves us on National Signing Day and this great recruiting class falls apart, I'm going to be furious. It was all shame.
He made them dance. He made that school dance. Like, good for him.
I mean, I don't even blame him because we saw the same reason Brian Kelly leaves for LSU. Like, I can't deal with the certain restraints that Michigan has on its football players that you just don't have to deal with at LSU, at Alabama, at Georgia, at Texas. For example, Xavier Worthy, who is, I mean, as frustrating as it is, he's a true freshman All-American guy at Texas his first year. Wasn't even, from what I heard, academic credits didn't let him come to Michigan. I mean, he's one of the best if not the best wide receiver as a true freshman in the country. Like, exactly. How are you supposed to compete? How are you supposed to compete with the Alabama Georgias when you're?
But that's what he did. He got the team rolling. He got them to a place where he's like, all right, now I can make demands. I'm a Big Ten champ. I'm a playoff team. I just housed Ohio State. Yeah. And he got to himself to that point, and he did what he had to do. He took that school right down. I'm not totally convinced he didn't have something to do with the president being fired, because I don't think they saw eye to eye. So it's like, I think he did what he had to do, and I love that he did it. I'm so happy.
Yeah, it was really weird because, like, out of all years, like, this is the year you're entertaining like serious NFL offers after like you beat Ohio State.
That's why I was like,
it just doesn't add up.
Short-sighted man. You're like,
and especially like JJ McCarthy's looking like he could possibly win a Heisman at Michigan. I mean,
he'll be our Deshaun Watson. I know he will.
And I wonder if the people are saying it was like about the money and how he had to sign like a very lesser contract than he signed to come to Michigan, and then he wants to go make his money in the NFL. Like, he gave away like all his bonuses to the school to help. Like, it wasn't about the money for this dude.
He's made so much money.
I think there's also, and this might be a little cynical of me for saying this, but there's also like all the fans who were telling him like that, calling for his head, like you a couple of years ago. Who were calling for his head. He's like, hey, I can go get an NFL job whenever I want. So, like,
hey, sit down, all of you.
He's like, we're sticking it to everybody, I think. He's like, look, guess what? Like, every NFL team wants me.
You didn't think it was slightly alarming that we didn't have a single decommit? You didn't think, like, okay, maybe, and everything seemed so perfect. And
you think they were all in on it?
They got Will Johnson's dad, like,
no, Clemens' dad. Like, well, Clemens' dad.
No, it was Will Johnson. It was Deion Johnson. It was Will Johnson's dad. I know everything about this. I've been on Twitter like 10 hours a day lately, so I'm up to date. Maybe it was both their dads.
Clemens' dad said that. He's suspect. Like, I appreciated his honesty. Yeah, he
might have to leave, but nobody was leaving. You didn't think there was something like a little off?
I agreed with that. I was really surprised. Yeah. One more thing in the offseason we got to go get Chris Conley out I believe is in Washington and
Joshua Conley. I want him
to tie a bow on this recruiting class. And I was pretty much saying like, okay, let's talk a little bit about before we just close out the show. Let's talk a little bit about what we were talking about, like preparation for if he leaves. Who were the candidates for the job?
Gaddis, right? It had to have been Gaddis.
And promote Sharon Moore to OC. And Gaddis for I mean, he's 35 years old. It's a big job for, I think, maybe 38. He's in his 30s. It's a big job for a 30-year-old guy, kind of like what Notre Dame did with Marcus Freeman. At the end of the day, it was like, I don't want any
needed the continuity, right?
You know what I mean? Like if Jim leaves and like another guy comes in and gets rid of the OC, and like then all of a sudden like JJ, Blake Corum, Donnie Edwards, Andrew Anthony all want to leave. Like we couldn't risk that.
Well, it would have been like in Oklahoma with
100% Lincoln
Venables is like has to kind of restart everything. And I don't think like Venables is an awesome coach, so I think it worked out okay for them. But But again, I don't think with the way Michigan's trending right now, I think you want to see if you can as much continuity as you could. If Harbaugh left, I think exactly. It's like where's Notre Dame could go get Fickle, and then they'll lose the whole recruiting class in 23 and 22, and they can try to build it back. But it's like Freeman looks like he should be a good coach. I think Gaddis is coming into his own as a coach. He had an awesome year. I would have been totally okay with him getting promoted.
And the other thing is we might have Gaddis one more year. I mean, if he puts a season together like he did last year, he's gonna go get signed by whoever.
He'll be at the Virginia.
Like I was thinking Virginia
NC
Tech.
State. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
No, he's not leaving. I was just like the type of school. Baylor.
But they'll come and get him. They'll because Josh Gaddis is he was already getting kicked around for a spot. I think teams just want to see maybe another year of production because before this year the offense was not good.
I don't think you were totally sold. This year he was in his bag all year. It was sick.
God, I can't wait for JJ McCarthy to get a full year.
I am.
Andrew Anthony better.
We'll talk about that in the future. But God, I'm so pumped. How could he leave those? How could he leave those three standing out there on the field, watching the celebration, tweeting, "We're up next"? I mean, if you didn't get a little fired up about that and want to stay, like you're a madman.
It just feels to close out the show, this Michigan team, it feels different. Like as much as like Donovan Peoples-Jones, Nico Collins, Tariq Black, talented guys, they didn't have that mentality. They were looking to go to the NFL.
Never saw success. Really.
Yeah. And Blake Corum, JJ McCarthy, Donnie Edwards, Andrew Anthony, it just seems different. It feels different. I don't know if it's the coaches. I don't know if it's the players. I don't know if it's both. It's just different.
It's both, right? It's just younger coaches, more excitement. Finally beat Ohio State and beat them bad. It's like, the whole thing.
But these guys, you could tell like a lot of these guys were like that before we had the success. You just got to vibe. Like before we started stringing together big time wins, and even after
I'd be lying if I wouldn't have been as convinced if they got murdered by Ohio State this year. I'd be skeptical.
I don't know. Maybe I was always like, I've been at Blake Corum. Just seems like he's got what I want to see out of like Michigan players. That mentality. JJ McCarthy the same way.
Yeah,
Anthony.
Love Andrew Anthony.
Aiden Hutchinson is. We probably owe all the success to Aiden Hutchinson at the end of the day. So.
Haskins.
As the offseason continues, we'll be getting into deeper previews of the team, what positions to look for, who's going to be starting at QB1. I think we both know it's JJ. But once again, appreciate you guys listening to us give a little Michigan football take. And we'll be back more with the regular scheduled draft content. Appreciate y'all. Go Blue. You heard me?